Hello, everybody. Good morning. I'm Sarah Intonato, and I know we said today we would go live at 8 o'clock talking about self-care versus selfish. Where is that fine line? I know we're starting at a little bit past the hour, so spoiler alert, I am not perfect, but I am perfectly imperfect, I think, in my own way, as we all are. And today's topic is a juicy one, and it actually came about because I teach many wonderful one-on-one students. That's the bulk of my teaching work now. And I teach people of all ages. And one constant question has been coming up recently. And just this week, I had a student ask me, we were talking about my trips to India. We were talking about doing your yoga practice and making the time for that. We were speaking about going on retreats. I lead retreats for people to step away and strengthen their spiritual connection. And she said to me, Sarah, there's a question I have and I really need you to answer it for me. And I said, sure, what is it? What would you like to know? And she said, what is the line between practicing self-care versus being selfish? And I could feel the weight of her question, right? She wasn't just asking a question. She was asking a question, wondering if she'd been doing the right things or the wrong things. And it was a really heavy question to ask. What's that line? Where does that line fall between self-care versus being selfish? How much time is the right amount of time to invest in ourselves? How much energy, how much money, how much of our financial resources are required for us to practice self-care? And I'm sure any person you ask would have a different answer on this topic. But for me, having seen all different kinds of practitioners from all over the world, being friends with many of them, seeing myself that important line between feeling energized for my work and really excited about what I do versus feeling burnt out, it really comes down to your intention. Why are you doing what you're doing? Because it really isn't the amount of time spent, I've found, that makes a big difference. When I go to India to study with my guru, Sharath Joyce, I go for at least a month. And in doing that, I leave my husband and my children at home. And I have to give him a shout out because he's dad of the year, really. But a month is a long time for many people. Certainly in America, a month is like an eternity, to pick up and go. And yet, when I come home from that experience, the change in me is palpable. You can feel it. I'm stronger physically, of course. I'm stronger mentally. Any situation you throw at me, I can handle it. And I remember the first time I went to India after having had children, I didn't know what it was going to be like. And when I came home, I was only home for a few days, and my husband said to me, I don't know what happened over there, but you have to do this again next year. And I thought, wow, I almost didn't even go because 1 month seemed like it was too long. And yet there was deep transformation which occurred. So for me, it comes down to, what do you want to get out of this self-care experience? How does it help you to show up better in your life with more engagement and with more awareness and clarity? Are you going into that commitment knowing that you want to take away from it tools which will help you in your life? Or are you going into it with maybe a commitment level which is unclear, or an intention which is unclear, or maybe even going into it sort of with bad intentions? Think of the time you might spend in 1 hour at Starbucks gossiping. Or, maybe you've just had a fight with someone you love and you go to take a self-care hour, and maybe you spend your whole hour getting a massage or getting a pedicure, but that whole hour is spent thinking about them, mentally complaining about them, maybe even complaining about them to other people. And that is 1 hour, which certainly is less than a month, but you come away from that hour not as strong mentally, not as connected to your true self, to your higher self. So it's really not about the amount of time you spend or where you go or what you do. It's about your intention behind it. Will you be nurturing yourself in this process? Or is this process just a way to waste time? Is it a way to amuse yourself or entertain yourself? Or are you using it as a self-growth experience? So that intention is very powerful and far more important, I think, than the duration you spend. And I'm sure you'll find plenty of people who don't agree with me, and that's totally fine. To each his own opinion. But that's really the truth, is why are you doing what you're doing? What is your why? And if you can remain connected to that, you're going to have a very powerful self-care experience, even if you're sitting and meditating for 15 minutes. That's self-care. It doesn't have to be a big grand thing, although it can, but your intention going into that experience is going to lay the groundwork for what you take away from it. So to me personally, 15 minutes spent scrolling around on my iPhone mindlessly, not paying attention to my family, not paying attention to my work or my home or my spouse or myself, is much more selfish than going to a meditation class, which takes a few hours of my time, and I have to drive there probably and be with my teacher. But there's a different result which comes from that experience. I return home more rejuvenated, more ready to engage, higher vibration version of myself. So those are my thoughts on this topic. And again, is there a right or wrong answer? Probably not. But I encourage you, as you're looking at your self-care time, to not look at the time spent. And I know that's really hard when we have a lot of responsibilities. It can be difficult to step away and justify the duration of our experience if we're nervous about going, especially. But that's really less important than why you're doing it. How do you want to be on the other side? What do you want to take away from this? So I hope this is helpful for you today. And as you explore all the different possibilities for self-care for you, remember there is no right or wrong. Some people might resonate with meditation. Some people might resonate with body work. Some people might resonate with taking an Epsom salt bath. Some people might resonate with studying with their teacher on a regular basis. Some people might resonate with hiking in nature. Some people might resonate with going to India for months at a time and studying. I resonate with all of the above, and I practice all of the above. So you have my permission to practice self-care in a way which feels appropriate for you. And if you're looking to take the next step in your self-care experience, I have 2 retreats coming up which might be of interest to you. One is a yoga private intensive, a semi-private intensive in Montauk, New York, which is October 13th, so next Friday, the 13th. And it's going to be incredibly powerful and beautiful. And it's just one day. It's less than a day. It's from 10 to 6. And the other is a 4-night yoga retreat in Sedona, Arizona, from the 5th to the 9th. And so both of these are bigger opportunities for you to step away and practice self-care. But if your self-care today is taking a walk outside during your lunch break, do it. But do it with the right intention. Don't do it mindlessly. Because what you get out directly correlates to what you put in. So have a beautiful day. Namaste, and I'll see you soon.